Well, it's been a really hard 6 months since I got elected to the Michigan Senate. It seems like every single day there is something new coming at us, and some folks will say, "How are you doing, Rebekah? How are you actually doing up there?" And it's like, do I look bruised? Because I feel like I'm taking it on the chin just about every day, but I am so energized today. I cannot believe how many folks are here at 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning that think that this is one of the most important things they can be doing right now, is getting this training, learning how to circulate these petitions so that every signature we get is valid and legal, and that we can put this just absolutely undemocratic, awful piece of legislation on the ballot for all of our citizens to take a chance to learn about it, to see how it's going to impact their community, and we're going to convince them that this is an awful piece of legislation that needs to be sent to the recycling bin. So I'm so excited that you're all here today. You've had a chance to hear, Britt gave an incredible sort of 10,000-foot overview of what this legislation actually does. Representative Rutledge, because he sat on the committee that really dug into the details of it, gave you some of the sense of what that felt like, the flavor of that in committee. I just want to add, from the Senate's perspective, when the legislation came to us from the House, it was introduced in the House, we didn't have as many detailed hearings. They spent a few more hours digging into it. We put it on a fast track, passed it very quickly in the Senate. But I want to tell you some of the amendments that we introduced in the Senate that got voted down, because it gives you a little sense of what the folks who introduced it are really trying to accomplish. He mentioned that these emergency managers have the right to have a salary set for them that comes out of the budget of, and let's be honest, the proponents of this legislation say they're going to only go into communities that are financially struggling. So they're supposedly going to districts that are having pretty difficult financial challenges, but they're going to allow people, and right now we have one in the city of Detroit that makes $400,000 plus a year, and that salary comes out of the district's budget. So we in the Senate said, we think we should put a cap on that salary, and we're going to actually make it a reasonable cap. We know this is a tough job. If you get this job, you know, you're dealing with some pretty tough situation. We're going to cap it though at what the governor makes, which is $179,000. You go into a struggling district or city, you should make no more than the governor of the state of Michigan at $179,000. Republicans voted that down. We said, you know, the original emergency financial manager legislation that you heard Representative Rutledge refer to as Act 72 that we had before allowed someone to come in and work with a struggling community or a struggling school district just on their finances. How do we get their books back in shape? This law just goes so much farther than that and gives them in our local communities, so at the city level, broad ordinance authority. So you have this one unelected, appointed person who doesn't have to be from our community at all, that might not share our values, that has the opportunity not just to do all of the, and Britt's been careful to say this isn't just about our workers and our unions, but it's definitely about them. This law, this legislation allows these folks to come in and break contracts, change actuarial assumptions on pension, change vesting schedules for pension. So we have firefighters and cops and first responders and municipal workers and teachers and support staff all across the state that would be at risk of, even if they put in 25 years and invested for a pension, for us to say, well, you've sacrificed and given everything to us, but we've decided we don't want you to have a secure retirement. We're going to just, this one person can come in and make all that go away. But not just that. They could say, here in our community, we've made decisions. We want folks to be able to have the right to earn a living wage. We passed an ordinance that says you live in the city of Ann Arbor, we want you to have a living wage if you work here. City of Ypsilanti, a human rights ordinance. We want you to be treated equally no matter what your background, your race, your religion, your sexual orientation or preference. This person would have the authority just to change any of that, unrelated to the budget, just because they want to, just because they don't agree. We tried to put controls on that and say, if you're really serious about trying to help districts and municipalities get back in order financially, focus on that. Let's take away this ordinance authority. Republicans voted that down. For our schools, for the first time ever under this law, not just the books, again, would be under evaluation by this person and be able to be changed in any way. The contracts you heard about selling land, setting aside sitting commissions, and public utilities. They could sell off public utilities under this legislation. But they would have complete control over curriculum development. So I had an amendment, and I said, you know, we've asked our teachers in Michigan to have a very high standard of education, to continue their education year in and year out to make sure they have the best skills that we can. Let's at least say, if you're going to bring somebody into a school district to take over who has the broad authority over curriculum, let's at least make sure they have a background in education. They have some credentials. Not a single Republican voted for that. They immediately voted that down. So that gives you a sense that of what they were trying to do, of what kind of authority they want these folks to have, and I can't wait to get out there and put my signature on that dotted line to repeal this law and work with all of you